AAT Birds Weekly Report is the Eagle news, notes, and analysis you need. All about the birds. It's all birds, all the time.
And welcome to the AAT Birds Eagles mock draft. Matt's joining us back. He's coming back. Some baby duty he's got to do, but it's okay. He's back for the mock draft because it is less than 24 hours until the NFL draft. So we have to get the mock draft in here. And all Eagles mock draft will pull up the simulator here and we'll get that started. But Chip, I want to talk on something first before we get to the mock draft, because the mock draft is going to dominate the show. The first thing I want to bring up is I want to get your guys' both opinions on the Cam Jurgens extension. So Cam Jurgens was extended by the Philadelphia Eagles. I think he's 4 years, $68 million, $39.5 million guaranteed. Listen, we all figured it was going to happen. We just didn't know when. So the Eagles lock up their center for another 4 years. He's signed up until 2029. So the Eagles offensive line, 4 out of the 5 offensive linemen, I believe, are signed up until 2027. Mm-hmm. So it's some good things to do with the Eagles offensive line. You build those trenches. But what are your guys' thoughts on this extension?
It is a great move at the right time. I think the year coming off of Kelsey, you had to see if he was indeed going to be the guy. And he played at such an incredible level, such a high level, such an all-pro level. It was the right move. You got him at a good price. Like you mentioned, 4 of the 5 guys, the only spot that is really not is, the Mekhi Becton vacated spot, which is bothersome. But, I can kind of see where this team is going to make some moves now. But Jurgens, he needs to be an Eagle for quite a while.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty wild that we can go from Jason Kelsey, first ballot Hall of Famer, icon in the city, right to like the future handpicked Jason Kelsey replacement. It's a pretty cool story. I agree with Chip. It was the right time to do it. He's now the second highest paid center in the league, which I'm sure in a couple weeks will be, 5th or 6th, right? Yeah, that's the way Howie kind of moves. I think it's a brilliant move. The fact that he was able to fill in and without skipping a beat is you have to lock him up.
And it's the reward factor. It's the idea of, even before he took over for Jason Kelsey, he was our starting right guard. He is that multifaceted, multi-positional player, which is exactly what the Eagles value. And it's funny because one move that is not on your little thing, Johnny, is that they declined the Jahan Dotson option. So now we're going to be in the market for a slot receiver.
Well, he's on the final year of his contract, his deal, his rookie contract. So we'll see where that goes this year in terms of how he plays and, what it looks like. But you knew they weren't going to pay the amount of money that is tied to that.
I feel like that's a win-win on the Eagles. I feel like there's a no-brainer because he hasn't proven anything in the league in general, but especially not in the Eagles. It's not a spot that gets a ton of looks anyway. And he's in a contract year, so you're inevitably going to get more production when he does touch the ball. So it's like win-win, right? Like if he balls out, you win a championship. If he doesn't, then you move on.
And you can't commit another dollar, let alone any millions of dollars to that wide receivers room at this point. Because think about the conversation leading up to the draft. Oh, they're going to trade A.J. Brown. Oh, we should trade Devontae Smith because there's too much money committed to a team that runs the ball. Shut up. You're definitely not paying Jahan Dotson, though.
So the other thing I want to bring up too, speaking of the draft, and we're doing the mock draft here in a few. We're going to start it, but speaking of drafts, the second round, I know Matt, you had sent me that somebody had posted that the Eagles and Howie Roseman have drafted Pro Bowlers in, what was it, the last 5?
4 consecutive second rounds.
Consecutive second rounders. And of course, Cooper DeJean is going to be a Pro Bowler. So that's going to be another one added to that. But they've just hit it out of the park. And listen, ever since that disastrous 2020 draft, which in about 3 days, it'll be the 5th year anniversary of the All About the Birds show, podcast, whatever you want to call it. And we started off with that draft and breaking that draft down. But it's crazy. You look at the 2021, 22, and then after that, the way they built this team and how they built the foundation of this team through those drafts, it's absolutely unreal. And you can kind of say, like, missing out on a Justin Jefferson and doing kind of what they did in that draft really opened their eyes to what they needed to do to build this team. And they literally hit home runs in every single draft. From
Howie's in his bag.
But again, and we've said this on this show, and we've said it in multiple shows. Yes, they decided to take Jalen Reagor over Justin Jefferson, and obviously in hindsight, Jefferson was the better pick. But thinking about where that Eagles team was, we didn't need Justin Jefferson at that point. You know what I mean? Like, he wasn't a player that they were going to build around. He wasn't going to have the production that he was going to have. It was just, it would have been the wrong time to have him on the roster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I agree with you.
Howie's a big overcorrector. We've talked about that numerous times too. And when he sees an issue, he overcorrects, right? And he dropped the ball on Reagor. He went out and got A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. He missed out on Russell Wilson, back in the day. He went out and got Jalen Hurts because he was like, I don't want that to happen again. We got burnt in the secondary. He went out and traded for Slay. He's just a constant overcorrector when he sees a weakness, which is, I mean, you can't ask for more out of your GM. But if it wasn't for those mistakes, like the Reagors, like the Carson Wentzes, you don't have A.J. Brown, you don't have Smitty, you don't have
Super Bowl
Hurts. You don't have Jalen Hurts, to be honest.
Yeah, you don't.
Without Dillard, you probably don't have Jordan Mailata, and you could go down the line. But the fact that he's got such an amazing pedigree in the second round now is pretty wild. That was a cool stat. That was by Rube, by the way. Want to give him a shout. Because he's the stat man.
He's the big time stat guy.
Yeah.
But this brings us to the All Eagles mock draft. So I'm going to open that up here.
Well, and we found AJ's car.
And we found AJ's car.
Because the guy parked it outside a police station.
Yeah, I saw that. No, they were like, doing construction on a school, and he parked it right out front, and the cops were like, that's it.
Yeah,
Sir,
that
not
was
your car.
Yeah, that was kind of funny.
That's why he's a car thief and not a finance bro.
Yeah. So I'm going to start this.
Car thieves out there.
So we're going to go. Since this is your first mock, Matt, I'm going to have you start. You're going to get the first pick, the Eagles, and then it'll just be a rotation. All right, just you and I going back and forth, and we could talk it over. You can always get input as well. That's totally fine. But it is going now, and we will see. Malachi Starks goes right before the Eagles pick to the Chiefs.
All right.
So here's some traits.
Let's not reject that yet. If you go ahead and X that out.
Yep.
That's
the only trade offer we have. Yeah. So here we go. Best available right now.
All right. I like so what I'm looking at in the first round, just from what I'm hearing and the visits that they've had, they obviously prioritize the trenches. If you have someone that is an offensive tackle like a Simmons or someone like that, that might be worth taking a look at. Edge and defensive tackle, if there's someone there. And then corner is another position that they seem to be kind of hovering around. I've seen a lot of buzz, including Peter Schrager, around Maxwell Hairston.
Yep.
Amos is getting a lot of love in the first round
too. Both are available here.
Yeah, I think that's super interesting. Scourton or Scourton. I'm not sure how you pronounce that.
I think it's Scourton.
He's getting a lot of love from the Eagles specifically, so he's someone that's interesting there. You're obviously not going to go inside offensive line. You're not going to go running back. You're not going to go QB.
James Pierce Jr. is there as well.
We do have an offer to move back 3 spots and grab a 4th. I think you have to look at that with the people that are on the board. If you go to offers on the top right.
It looks like a phone.
Right, the one that looks like a phone.
Oh, it looks like a phone. See, look at that. All right. So
what do you think? Would you move back 3 spots and you can grab one of those 2 corners or one of those edge rushers?
You know what? Let's do it. I haven't done any trades in any of my mocks.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm not doing that.
We'll go ahead and X that out because I think we're going to stick at
Never
this
trade
pick.
with the Cowboys.
Yeah,
No.
I'm going to stick at the pick.
Yeah.
All right, let's see who we have available. We have James Pierce, Hairston, Amos, and Scourton. So I think James Pierce, if you're comfortable with his off the field stuff, I think he probably has to be the pick here. He's the best player on the board at a position of need. I think he fits the skill set Fangio is looking at in his edge rusher. So I think I'm in between him and Scourton. And I'll probably go James Pierce because he's the
Pierce is the pick.
the player.
A+ we got on that one too.
Let me tell you.
Brings us to pick. Holy cow. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna do any trades because there isn't can't keep adding picks. They don't need to keep adding picks.
No.
So,
No, at some point you actually have to pick somebody.
exactly. So we take a look here at TJ Sanders. I know we've talked about him.
Yeah. Tate Ratledge is super interesting. And they love to go offensive line in the second round. They got Dickerson
there.
They got Dickerson. They got Juergens in the second round. Howie's known to go interior offensive.
I'll pass up one of those safeties.
You got Makuba and you got Winston there. But you also have TJ Sanders to bolster that interior offensive line.
I'm going Winston. I just can't pass it up. They had him in a pre-draft visit. To me, if he did not partially tear his ACL last year, he would have been a first-round pick. So I'm going Winston. I can't pass that up.
I agree with you, despite our Penn State bias. I think he's a good fit for the Fangio scheme, too, and what he looks for. He can play that deep half of the field and come up and lay a hit, too.
What'd you get a grade on that?
B+.
Ooh, they're calling it a reach. All right. So here's where I'd look at, if you hadn't gotten a safety or a corner, I'd be looking at
any position you want me to look at or just kind of?
Well, I'm thinking interior offensive line or a tight end here. I think that's the sweet spot.
Fannon's right there.
Fannon's my guy. I'm a big Fannon guy. I am concerned a little bit about his athleticism at the next level. You also have Terrence Ferguson there. They love Jacob Parrish. I'm hearing that they're comparing him to McDuffie out of Kansas City. So I think
it's a tough one.
You also have
remember we do have a pick 103 coming up too. So it's we have a pick coming up in 7 selections too. So if you think about it that way,
get up that offensive line for me.
Interior offensive line or tackles?
Either one.
All right, I'll bring up the interior first. A little bit of reaches here. Miles Frazier, maybe.
So what I'm looking for here is someone that has that inside-outside versatility, like a guy like Benton or Belton. You're probably not going to reach for like a Travis yet. So let's hold off on offensive line.
It goes into the logic of every single time the Eagles pick an offensive lineman, they have to be able to play multiple positions.
Yeah. I think I'm going to go ONL here. I think I'm going to go Norman Lott, bolster that interior defensive line.
Okay. I'm just going to climb up. Ooh, and Fannon's still on the board. I'm sorry, but
The gamble pays off.
But Parrish is still there too.
And Trapilo from Boston College.
Ferguson's still there.
Ty Robinson at that interior defensive line. I like him a lot. Had I not taken O&L, I probably would have taken him. Now, I guess it depends on what you think they're going to do with Goddard. I think
True.
I think regardless if you keep him or let him walk, you're still going to need that tight end in the future. And if Fannon's still on the board, that's awfully tempting. That's good value. But you got Parrish too, who they really seem to like.
You think about it, they get another corner there that could play inside.
And out.
You know, a Fannin one is just. I'm gonna go Fannin.
Can't hate the pick. And you get some other guys in the later rounds that can play inside, outside, and corner.
Yeah. All right. So now that brings us to pick 134.
Okay.
And just to recap, you've already gotten an edge,
Safety,
a safety,
interior D lineman, D tackle, and a tight end.
All right. Now here, let's see who we have on the board for secondary. There's
All right. So corners right now, we have a little bit like Dorian Strong's there. That'd be in the ballpark there, but then the other guys, it's just too much of a.
Yes.
And then safeties, we already got a safety, so I don't think you want to reach and grab another safety this early.
So let's see that. We're at 134 here.
Yeah.
Yep.
Let's look at that interior offensive line and running back.
Miles Frazier is still there.
Still there.
Jackson Slater.
Offensive tackle.
Tackle, you have Jalen Rivers, Logan Brown, Cornelius.
Okay.
They've been kind of scooped up.
I was going to say there's been a run on offensive linemen here.
And running back, you have Giddens, Neal, Truman's there.
That's like all right. So obvious bias aside here, I'm a big Tootin guy. I think he's a phenomenal back. He's so fast.
I'm gonna need you to clip that.
Yeah. He's a 4.3 guy. He's a home run hitter when he touches a ball. He's got kick return upside. He's tremendous in pass pro. I have a really tough time passing on Tootin. I'm going to take him at 134.
So now we wait a little bit here. Now we get to the fifth round where the Eagles have 4 fifth-round selections. So it's going to be a little bit quick here, as you see 161, 164, 165, and then 168. So we're going to be hitting it pretty quick here.
Oh, Miles Frazier is still there. Oh, your boy.
I'm going David Walker because he is my, if you want to say draft crush, this is the guy that I need them to draft. I just love everything about him in terms of how he plays the game and just the productivity he showed every single season. I'm going David Walker.
I don't blame you. And now that Miles Frazier is still sitting there, the value there at 165 is tremendous, or 163. Let's go ahead and
so we're going Miles Frazier?
Yeah.
You know, it's funny, and I remember doing mock stuff last year, and I kept asking every guest that we talked to, you know, every year we seem to come across a guy that, you know, if the Eagles don't get, we consider him a failure. You know, we saw that with Justin Jefferson. And my question last year was all around Jeremiah Trotter Jr. There isn't one of those guys this year. There is nobody that the city of Philadelphia is insisting that we put on our roster.
Walter Nolan seems to be that guy right now.
There's a lot of buzz around him for sure.
Yeah. Walter Nolan is probably my favorite player in this draft, aside from Winston. But Walter Nolan is like, if there's an opportunity to get him and place him next to Jalen Carter on that defensive line, I think it would be absolutely unreal.
Yeah. I agree.
I do, after we do this draft stuff, I do have, and I know I've messaged you, Matt, on this, something that I would love to see happen. And if it happened, I think I would be through the roof on it. So we'll bring up that after. But looking here, we have 2 selections left. We haven't gotten a linebacker, which we know the depth there.
I'm back and forth on linebacker. I feel like that's a position in this draft specifically that may be
I'm going to go Teddy
UDFA. You got to go Teddy Buchanan. Thank you.
I'm going Teddy Buchanan.
I do think if they decided to forego running back or linebacker, I wouldn't blame them because I think the depth is tremendous. I think there's going to be some really good UDFAs there. So something I battle with here. So this is the last pick here?
This is the last pick. Is there a position you'd like to look at?
Yeah, we need an offensive tackle. This is where I think the Eagles thrive with taking late round guys to see. We also have corner here.
Oh, that's right. I didn't get a corner.
Yeah, take a look at these corners for me.
Kobe Bryant, look at that.
I love me some Kobe Bryant. I know I got shit about that, but it's hard to watch him and his competitiveness and not think of like a Jalen Mills type of player, in my opinion. I really like Kobe Bryant. I also think we need an offensive tackle. So
I'll see the tackles here. We have Jalen Rivers, Logan Brown, Cornelius from Oregon, Jack Nelson.
Yeah, I don't love the options here. If I were to do it, I'd probably pull the trigger on Logan Brown or Kobe Bryant. I'll let you be the tiebreaker here.
I think you got to go corner here.
Yeah.
You got to go corner. Keep adding to the corner room. I just think that's, the skill set is there.
Can you scroll down a little bit?
Mm-hmm. Upton Stout is a guy that can play inside, so that's versatility there.
Yeah, same thing with Wally. I really like Wally. Longer Beam is another guy who's real competitive in there. I was hoping that my guy out of Ohio State would still be there. I also really like Mac McWilliams, but I think he's listed as a safety. Yeah, I think we'd have to go Kobe Bryant. I think the city would like his tenacity. We'll go Kobe.
We got a lot of A pluses.
I'm a little upset we didn't go offensive tackle at some point in this draft, but we got our draft crushes. We got Bashal. We got David Walker. I think we both go home happy.
Oh, yeah. I think the way that this draft shapes up really epitomizes the way that they've drafted the last number of years. So as we refresh it here, we traded a couple spots back. And
they hate that Tootin pick.
They hate it.
What do you say?
They hate
the Tootin pick.
Yeah, he likes the Tootin pick. So we got James Pierce Jr., we got Kevin Winston in the second round, Omar Norman Lott in the third round, Harold Fannin Jr. in the fourth. That's from the trade. It's an extra fourth. We got another fourth round, Tootin from Virginia Tech, the running back. And then 4 fifth-rounders. We got David Walker, the edge out of Central Arkansas, Miles Frazier, the interior offensive lineman from LSU, Teddy Buchanan, linebacker, California, and then the last pick was the corner out of Kansas, Kobe Bryant. So as we look at this now, Chip, what is your feeling on the way we address certain needs with the Eagles and how we went about it?
So I think that, you kind of picked and choose where you got certain players. I think you went a little high on safety in the second round. Like, I like the Winston pick in general, but you just went out and got a safety, pretty recently. I know that's a weakness, but you understand, Johnny, because you've done shows with me for the past, 4.5 years, that if you're picking somebody in the second round, you're expecting them to be contributing members of your team by the end of this season, early next season. So That means there has to be a spot available. Meanwhile, you have an addressed corner, and we lost to Darius Slay this offseason. You waited until the 7th round. I think one of the reasons why your Tootin pick was so low is because it was a very anti-Howie pick. One player that was still on the board, and you guys skipped right over him. Yeah, I agree. Address the running back position. But you skipped the Georgia running back. Travis Etienne was still on that list. Or Trevor. I'm not saying you have to like him. I'm just saying it was a very anti-Howie move. There was a Bulldog available, and you went with Tootin.
Yeah, but, one of the things he looks at, Howie, is RAS scores and the overall athleticism. I don't think he can pass up a 4.38 running back with receiving prowess, kick return upside, and pass pro. I think he's a better all-around player.
And ETN is definitely like a run directly into the line kind of dude. So, like, I understand what you're saying.
I think if it wasn't for his brother being in the league, he wouldn't be talked about as much as he is.
I mean, he's still a Georgia Bulldog, so
that's fair.
I don't know. Like, I like some of these names that you got up there. I think that you're addressing the right positions. But I mean, the Eagles lost so much this offseason that filling all the holes it's a very difficult thing. Like you mentioned, our linebacking core is non-existent right now. The D line definitely took a hit. The tight end pick was cool.
I will say, like, after the draft and everything, and then the UDFAs that are signed usually on Sunday, what you're going to see next week is, now that the compensatory picks no longer matter in terms of free agents you sign, I think there's going to be veterans being signed by teams, and also players getting cut by teams that address multiple needs that don't need. So you're going to see some players sign. So again, we could also see next week the Eagles go ahead and sign a veteran or two to shore up some positional needs if they don't get them in the draft. So, we'll see that too. But, it's the biggest thing here is to try to deepen as much. And that's why I thought with a linebacker, getting a Buchanan there, because Ben Van Sumeren is now listed as a fullback, not a linebacker. So you want to try to get as much depth as you can, even if it's late round. Even like the 5th round isn't super late. You still can get quality players. We know that. We've seen it. So to me, I think a linebacker, then like an offensive tackle, I think is what they need, because even an undrafted free agent offensive tackle, they can always mold. Like I trust Stout, but like, to me, what was on the board, I think the talent at the other positions were a lot higher than the talent at tackle when it got late when you were picking. So
I just think so.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying I understand your logic with tackle, and we understand that Howie builds through the trenches, but I just think if you're going to go with a tackle, you need it to be somebody that's going to be replacing Lane Johnson in the next couple of years. So for me, a tackle would have to be picked in the 1st or 2nd round, and that caliber of player, or you need it to be somebody that does have the multiple position ability.
I think the other thing you have to look at there from a tackle perspective, if you're going late round, is someone with traits, right? And like, one of the guys that I'm looking at in most of my drafts, mocks that I do, I'm trying to grab a guy like Jalen Travis out of Iowa State. I think he is the perfect Stout project. He's a Mailata clone, 6'8", 346 pounds, something like that. Had a 9+ RAS score. He's a guy that if you have him in the 5th, to your point, you're looking for those traits. You're looking for someone that can mold and become the heir apparent. That's a guy I take a swing on. Unfortunately,
my guy is Holland Pierce.
What's that?
Holland Pierce is my guy.
Is another guy. Lunt out of UConn is another guy that's interesting. He's a little lighter than the other two, but the athleticism is apparent. I think they're going to look for, in my opinion, to your point, Chip, if they don't get someone in the 1st or 2nd round, they're going to look for someone with traits that they can mold over the next 2 or 3 years, like they did with Juergens.
And again, it's not like the cupboard is completely bare for the offensive line room. You know, we still have yet to really see what Tyler Steen is going to be, but he's one of those multi-positional guys. Is Driscoll still on our roster? I've lost track.
I think technically he's a free agent.
Yeah, I believe he's still a free agent.
Okay, but he's a guy that, like I said, I could see them bringing back, right? And he's a multi-positional player. So I just think that if you're not going out to get, you know, as Matt called it, the heir apparent right now, you almost can bypass the tackle position in this draft entirely.
Unless you find someone with those traits like we were just talking about.
Right, exactly. But then you're talking 6th, 7th round even.
And I think Howie will do some maneuvering, especially in that 5th round, to get 6th and 7th round picks. I wouldn't be surprised if they trade back to acquire more picks to see if they can get a guy in the later rounds to be that backup center, for example. A guy like Jake Majors or Mannheim if he's there from USC. So they do need a true backup center.
Yes.
They don't currently have that right now. I think we saw it in the playoffs. It would be Dickerson at this point, maybe Driscoll if they bring him back. So I think that's another move that Howie's going to have to look at filling either in UDFA or late in the draft.
So the one thing that I would love to see happen, now I had messaged you, Matt, on this, would be one, getting Walter Nolan. If you were to fall to them, you know, grab him there. I would give a call to the Jacksonville Jaguars to see their interest in trading Travon Walker to the Eagles. He is still on his rookie deal. The Eagles now, Adam Schefter had mentioned about the Eagles being, you know, having these 20 picks. They're not going to make all 20 of these picks. That they're going to be moved, and wasn't sure they're going to be moved to move up. Could potentially be for a player or whatever that is. But when the Eagles do those kind of trades on draft day, it's never for a player, a veteran that is not on a rookie contract. It's always somebody that's on a rookie contract. So that's why I had put that, like, you have a ton of picks next year. If you were able to trade, you know, a 3rd rounder, a 2nd rounder next year, maybe another late rounder next year, a 4th or a 5th, and to be able to get him, to me, that would be absolute home run. You get your edge and you get that interior defensive line right away, even if you have to trade a 2nd, just because he's just been playing at it. Plus, he's also a Georgia Bulldog, so that always is, you know, a good key for you on your defense. But that's like
not for nothing.
Not sure that's going to happen. But
and not for nothing as we talk about, you know, the depth and things like that. Like, I wasn't even mentally factoring in all the players that we did pick up this offseason, right? So, you know, we mentioned that we need cornerback. Well, we added Adoree Jackson on a 1-year deal. So there is at least a body in that room. Patrick Johnson is a linebacker. There's a body in that room. Josh Uche.
Yeah.
And Azeez Ojulari are all now in the linebacker room. So, like, the linebacker room isn't necessarily totally bare. And nobody mentioned it, Johnny, and I'm really disappointed in you.
Yeah.
I'm really disappointed in you, Johnny. Matt Pryor is now a tackle.
Yeah, he's not making
Philadelphia Eagles again.
He's not making the team. So, first of all, good call on some of those players. But at the same point, you know, a bunch of those players are technically edge rushers. I think what we're looking at is that stack backer position, which, by the way, before we jumped on, or maybe a little bit before that, I sent you the mock draft from Daniel Jeremiah, who's quite plugged in, who has us taking Jihad Campbell with the 2nd pick, linebacker out of Alabama. I don't know if he lasts that long. He screams like Vikings or Bucks. Or Ravens, right? I think he'd be the perfect blitz heavy attack 3-4 kind of team. But I thought that was interesting. And then Schrager has us taking Maxwell Hairston at 32. And he's usually pretty plugged in too.
Yeah, those are interesting ones.
I have no clue what is going to happen. I don't think anybody does. I don't think anyone knows.
And I think you can see
outside of three.
Yeah, like I know people are saying, "Oh, yeah, people are calling up to the Giants and Browns." I don't think those guys are trading now. Those two teams could be trading back into the first round.
Those teams need so much.
Yeah, so like I think you can have movement because like this isn't a superstar draft; it's a starter draft. Like Matt, you and I were talking about this. Yeah. Like there's quality players, but if you get like from pick 7, 8, you could get the same type of quality starter that you could get at 16, 17, 18, 19 into the 20s. Yeah. So there can be, I think you're going to see a lot of trading between the picks and, player teams moving up. And listen, if some of these quarterbacks go early, to me, that's great because it just pushes the better players down, whether it's the Shedeur Sanders, the Jackson Dart.
Yeah, let's talk about that real quick. Who is going to set their franchise back a whole decade by picking up Shedeur Sanders as their starting quarterback?
Steelers.
Is it going to be the Steelers?
I'll probably fall to them at 21.
It's funny. I don't know anyone. I haven't heard anyone actively going out of their way to compliment Shedeur Sanders.
I've heard nothing but awful about him.
Yeah,
between his interviews, between his pro days, between his skills, even going down to the entitlement of Daddy retiring him and Travis Hunter's number.
Yeah.
When Cordell Stewart's number is still it's just I am not a Shedeur Sanders fan. I don't think that. I mean, in my opinion, he's not a top 5 round pick.
I think he's he's one of the top quarterbacks in the draft. It's a light quarterback draft.
I mean,
I completely disagree. Just because he plays quarterback doesn't mean he's a good quarterback.
I think he's better than what you think. Is he a first round pick? It's debatable,
absolutely not.
But no, I think
I would take Milroe over Sanders.
So would I. I would take Dart over Shedeur Sanders.
I don't disagree with Chip. I maybe it's because he's so unlikable. I don't know, but
I think Chip's he's not a top 5 round pick. Like, to me, into the second round, mid-second round, like I would easily take him in the second round.
Okay, all right, so here you go, right? The Eagles a couple of years ago in the second round pick up a quarterback.
No, I don't want Shedeur Sanders on the Eagles.
No. That's not the point. The Eagles a couple of years ago in the second round picked up a quarterback by the name of Jalen Hurts.
And they got smashed for that.
Okay.
I hated the move.
So did I. So what you're telling me, Johnny, is, okay, he's a second round, that Shedeur Sanders and Jalen Hurts are of equal caliber.
No, I'm just saying when you look at quarterback. Remember, Chip, you've always said quarterbacks are overvalued because of the position.
And there's always a rush on them, for sure.
You have a Daniel Jones being drafted higher than he should have been. You have a Paxton Lynch being drafted higher than he should have been. You have a Josh Rosen drafted super high. You're going to have quarterbacks drafted high. If he's there at 21, I think Mike Tomlin and the relationship that he has, I think Mike Tomlin and the Steelers take the chance on Shedeur Sanders. That's just my opinion there. And also, don't be surprised if at the end of the first round, he's still sitting there and the Browns think, you know what, we got Travis Hunter. Why not trade a couple spots back up and grab him as our quarterback? He doesn't have to play right away, but he can sit behind.
Jackson type move, right?
Yeah.
32.
Like, that's just my feeling on that. Like, I think he's going to be a top round 2. Like, when I look at the quarterbacks, Cam Ward's number one pick.
Cam Ward is number 1, yes.
You have a Shedeur Sanders and a Jackson Dart, and you have Tyler Show. You have these guys. Where they're going to go, that is what we don't know. After Cam Ward, no idea. Do the Saints go ahead and pick Jackson Dart at 9? Like, is it going to be like a Michael Penix be like, wow, he was drafted by them there? Like, we just don't know. And I think that's the the curiosity of the quarterback position.
But like, okay, so
offensive
and again,
line,
this
too.
is
Yeah.
and so this is kind of my point here, right? And I am looking at the same list that you are. All the available quarterbacks who have declared for the draft, okay, or seniors that are draftable. All right, Shedeur Sanders is the lightest quarterback on this list. Okay, so right away you have to ask the durability questions, especially because of the style that he plays.
Well, Jaden Daniels was pretty light.
You're coming right off Jaden Daniels. I don't think people are gonna give a shit.
I'll put it out there, right? You're talking about a style of offense. So again, looking at these teams, right? Cam Ward played for Miami. That's a professional style program. Ole Miss, Alabama, Louisville for Tyler Show, even Will Howard for Ohio State. I'm not saying anything good about Will Howard, but again, professional style program.
Youngstown boy.
Quinn Ewers, Texas, right? Riley Leonard, Notre Dame. Like all these guys played, and you're talking about Shedeur Sanders.
Dylan Gabriel is still
Dylan Gabriel is not on whatever list I'm looking at right now.
Dylan Gabriel's out there, man. I don't just he doesn't get enough love.
You look at a guy like Shedeur Sanders, and outside of maybe Kyle McCord, maybe outside of Quinn Ewers, I would probably take every quarterback on this list before Shedeur Sanders.
Well, again, it's something to keep an eye on. We'll see how it plays out in the coming years, and we'll see. But
what a nice way.
I want to end it here with a trivia question, draft-related trivia question for you guys. The last time the Eagles had the number 1 overall pick,
true,
was 1949. Can you tell me who they drafted with that pick?
Van Brocklin?
No.
Fuck. Van Buren? One of the Vans?
This guy played from 1949 to 1962, I believe. He won 2 championships with the Eagles. He played center and linebacker at the University of Pennsylvania.
Eric. All right. Wow.
Chuck Bednarik was the last time the Eagles picked number 1, which actually the Eagles should have had the first pick in the 1999 NFL draft, but the Cleveland Browns came back in and they got the number 1 pick. But again, they got McNabb there, and the Browns got Tim Couch. So, luck fell on their side on that. But we'll see what tomorrow brings. It's going to be fun. We'll be back, unfortunately, Chip, Saturday night. I know Chip was a little iffy on that.
That's such
it's okay. I want to do it after. So Saturday night, we're going to discuss the Eagles draft. You know what? I'm trying to think. Should we do maybe we'll do Sunday night because they'll have the undrafted free agents too. Trying to think.
Thank you. And not to mention a Saturday night in the spring after a slew of 78-degree days. Ain't nobody watching our show on Saturday night?
Nah, it's okay. I'm going to do Saturday night because we could talk the next week. We could talk the undrafted free agents. You got to give ourselves content. So that's what I'm going to stick with. So Saturday night, we're going to talk Eagles draft recap and see how they did, see who they came away with, and maybe they trade Dallas Goedert, maybe they trade Bryce Huff. Time will tell with that, but it's going to be an interesting couple days, and I am super stoked for it.
Quick thought, real quick, before we jump out. We were talking about trading for veterans. Keep an eye on Mayer out of
Michael Mayer, yep.
Keep an eye on him as a potential Goddard replacement.
That would be a good idea. I know we've talked about him.
Or they'll trade all the way up and get Tyler Warren.
Dude, if that happens, I will be absolutely unbearable. Absolutely unbearable.
He will be running out to the pro shop to get his Tyler Warren jersey.
I will make my own. I'll stitch it out of yarn. I love Tyler Warren. He's my favorite player in the entire draft. If we did that, I'd be unbearable.
What would you be willing to give up to go up and get him?
From a trade compensation perspective?
Yes. Ooh.
My thing is, if he drops past pick 15,
he's not going to get past the Jets.
No, he probably won't.
No.
But I'm just saying, if he were to drop past like the top 10 into like 12 to 15 range,
Yeah.
you're gonna have to give up. You probably have to give up a lot.
I give up a 1 of 3. Goddard. I throw Goddard in there. Dude, I'd give up a decent amount there. I really would.
Trade the
Same sort of trade package if Abdul Carter dropped.
Yeah, he's not dropping.
He's not dropping.
No, I'm just saying, like,
let's get AJ Brown.
no, Devontae.
Dude, that whoever made that up was a dope. Yeah, I would do disgusting things to get Tyler Warren and Midnight Green. They would.
Gross.
Disgusting things.
We've already talked about Tootin today.
Yeah, I would do.
And you got a C+ for that.
Unforgivable Tootin things.
C+ Tootin.
Well, with that, it's going to end the show here. As we always do, we will be back Saturday night to Chip's dismay. Chip may not be here, but that's on him. But we'll be back. And with that, everybody enjoy the draft. And we always end it with Go
Birds!
This is Matt Ware. Hey, for all the Eagle content you need, go follow All About the Birds. They do a damn thing. Check them out.
Hey, Eagles fans, I may be in Tampa, but I know where to find the best Eagles content out there. Check out my friends at All About the Birds.
Philadelphia, what's up? This your boy Freddie Mitchell, a.k.a. Fred X. It's all about the bird.
All birds all the time. All birds all the time.
All About the Birds provides you with weekly analysis, game recaps, informative interviews, and it's all birds all the time.